Think we good to go?
Man, I missed y'all.
I missed you guys
Sure,
too, man. I really actually feel it this time.
Yeah.
You asked me to feel it? Yeah. Wow, stupid.
Right, that's hurtful.
right. We just get sad. I'm like, oh.
I got a whole list of stuff now, man. You know what I'm
Yeah?
saying?
What's
man. I know this is impromptu discussions, but I be wanting to have stuff.
Yeah, no, I got a list. I got a whole.
I kicked off the last one, so you go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got a list. I only got a couple things left on my list. Most of the stuff I've been thinking about, we can't talk about on the air.
Oh, for real? Okay.
We can still talk about it. That's a Patreon.
It's true.
You know.
Yeah, I really want to do that, man.
Yeah.
I still got a couple of films that I haven't even released yet, man.
Yeah.
So it's good, man.
From what we've done?
Will Smith, the Kanye.
Yeah.
Most of them, if we did want to put that, like, you know, like.
I think that'd be cool to get our perspective out there. Everybody else is, first of all, if we want to get some traction, that's a trending topic.
Yeah.
We can put hashtags in the title.
Yeah, that's true.
And get some traffic that way.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I plan to set up a lot of that stuff this week is to get our stuff connected. So
we got to start using hashtags in our. You sent us all the login, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I do some hashtags in there, but not a lot. I normally do the same thing, but if y'all got ideas, y'all can put them there too.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Because first of all, I don't want you to have to do every single thing,
brother. It gets like it takes thinking of the hashtags. I'd be like,
right.
Inspiration hashtag such hashtag. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot.
That's why it's important to just check the ones that are trending out there too and see which ones we can kind of link onto. So.
Because there's a lot of clickbait out there too.
There's a lot.
You're like, I ain't even. The picture looks more appealing than the subject.
Right.
The topic.
Exactly.
Exactly.
There's a lot of garbage, man.
Yeah.
So in society today, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Mind Forge podcast, and I'm here with Mr. Gary Gant. My name is Alexander Barber III. This is Brother Ethan. And this is Mr. Michael Wilson II. Today's topic that we'd like to discuss is a thought I have. Do you feel seen and heard as you move and breathe today in society? I don't want to always limit ourselves to just as a black man, but we're all black men, so what do we do?
I can only speak from my perspective.
Yeah, we can only speak from our perspective. Yep. But because I thought about it the other day, and I'm like, do I feel seen and heard? Like, because my approach always has to be like a sense of humor, right? Mm-hmm. But if I get serious, or if you want to be taken seriously in different circles, do you feel you're seen and heard? And I particularly want to hear from you because I know you have some interesting experiences in corporate, because you're in management, right? Mm. Yeah, so it's like, do you feel seen and heard and taken seriously in your role, or do you still feel like you're always relegated to this? So that's just something to think about. I mean, I'm gonna say for myself. That's a really good question. Yeah, I feel like I do, but I always have to. My entry point has to be a sense of humor to break the ice. It's always got to be an icebreaker. Mm-hmm. We can't just come in a room and say, okay, guys, listen up. I'm in management, and this is what's going to be. You can't do that all the time. And I feel like as we move and breathe in society or wherever we're at, be it church, be it in our own families, be it in different circles of a corporate nature, do you feel seen and heard, and do you feel taken seriously outside of preconceived conceptions and perceptions and notions? So that's just something to think about. Yeah, I think I do if you make people feel good. Like for myself, I think I can make people feel good through a sense of humor. Then you have their ear, and that doesn't matter what gender. It's men and women. People automatically like you if you can make them laugh. Right. That's why comedians are so successful. Right. And if you just seem like a person that's actually funny, then people latch onto you, right? Because people want happiness, and so then they'll listen to you. Like after you're serious. Then they'll listen to you. But if I just come into a room and serious, people are like, man, who do you think you are? Right. You ain't smart, man. Right. You don't know nothing. You ain't smart. You know what I'm saying? So that was just my thought.
Does it depend on the audience? Like, is it a mixture? Is it a particular
That's a good point.
group?
That's exactly where my mind is at.
Yeah, audience does, I think, help determine some things. I mean, if you're amongst your peers, of course, everybody has a voice, right? But I particularly think of situations like corporate environments or environments where you kind of know how things go. Just by you walk in a room, you can read the room and you know how it's gonna go. You can just. I've had people glance over me or let's kind of side eye you, and this is like, oh, I already know whatever I say is not going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as they see you, there's an automatic opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And so my thing is, there's ways to circumvent that, obviously, because once people get to know who you are,
Right.
it's undeniable. But before that happens, in your mind, do you feel like you can just walk into a room and you be taken seriously, or do you feel seen? Do you feel heard? That's something just
I
think
can
about.
answer. I'll answer.
Yeah.
So when you first posed the question, my mind went to the different, like you said, the different audiences that I interact with in my life. So there's church people, there's people, younger people. I do a lot with younger people that I have, a certain level of influence with. And then there's my work environment. I don't work in a corporate setting. I'm a tradesperson, so I work in people's homes, and and that can be its own separate set of challenges. But what I have noticed, people think I'm younger than I am. Just for whatever reason, the Lord has put me in a place where I look like I'm a teenager still, or close to it.
Yeah.
And
that particular T-shirt kind of brings you. It makes you look even younger. So. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dog, that is so funny. All right. So, that's funny. All right, I ain't wearing no more graphics. But anyway, a lot of times when I go in places, one thing that people ask me a lot, I do home improvement for a living. Yeah. One thing that I hear from an overwhelming majority of my customers is, how long you been doing this? Yeah. Or where'd you learn? Who's teaching you this? Or is there somebody else that you work with? Because they look at me. Yeah. And it seems like I'm somebody who may be too young to have enough experience to provide them with a quality product, right? Which is, it's challenging, but I've learned to kind of navigate that just by, number one, by doing a great job. Yeah. But before you even do a good job, you have to make a customer feel comfortable and so forth. Yeah. And so once they have interacted with me, I feel like once I start speaking, I'm able to present my thoughts in a kind of well laid out way. Right. And that tends to put people at ease. And then in other arenas, like I said, I do a lot with young people. I feel like when I speak, I have one person that I'm thinking of in particular. I had a conversation not too long ago, and it was somebody that I didn't know very well. But when I started to address the situation that they had going on in their lives, I feel like they were, at the beginning, they were like, okay, here's another, guy that's not even that far away from my own age that's, trying to spit knowledge or whatever. Right. But by the time we got fully engaged in the conversation, it was like he was locked in like this, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I feel like being able to, number one, have a full mastery of the language that we speak. Right. I agree. Is key. A lot of us, and this part goes to the because those other two things for me, I haven't really experienced it too much with being black in the environments that I'm in. First of all, because I'm around a lot of black people. Right. But this point here is where I think the culture comes in. A lot of us are, especially the generation that is coming up now, a lot of us are so indoctrinated with the way we entertain ourselves, the music, the movies, and all that kind of stuff, where we don't learn how to properly articulate ourselves. I agree. You know what I mean? 100%. Get our thoughts out there in a way that seems like, okay, well, not only is he, somebody who's doing a good job, but when he speaks, when he presents, when he writes, it all comes together into a professional, you know what I'm saying, package. And so I think it's important. This is off topic, but still on topic. I think it's important to push reading and writing to our children, 100%. Because reading and writing is something that it's irreplaceable when it comes to understanding how to broaden your vocabulary. Right. It comes naturally. Right. When you start to read, your vocabulary is going to skyrocket. You know what I'm saying? It's going to explode. Yeah. And so anyway, that's kind of my my response to that question. I feel seen and heard in a lot of places, but it's like you said, it's usually after I've started to present myself.
Yeah, the unfortunate disposition that we find ourselves in as Black men is that we constantly have to go above and beyond.
Yes.
Like, you got to blow people's mind.
Yeah.
To actually even just get noticed.
Yep.
Like, you speak so well. Oh, you know how to draw? You know how to play an instrument? Oh my God. This is like, okay, let's calm down here. I mean, we
right.
we know how to do some stuff.
Right,
I mean,
right.
like, you know, but I think it's imperative for us to, like you said, that whole thing about reading, writing, and just kind of knowing how to interact in different environments is imperative, because what it says is that we're not just one thing. We're not a stereotype. Or, you know, something. What is it called? A monolith.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, when people kind of, because we worked around all kinds of different people, right? All of us.
Yeah.
And the thing is once you learn a lot from your job, because it is a melting pot. I mean, you work around all kinds of nationalities.
Right.
And when you have to sit in a cubicle next to somebody and they actually learn about you, your culture, how you talk, what you like to eat, movies, things like that, they're like, wow. Because I've been told several times when I first saw you, I had like a thought, and you ended up being like nothing like I thought.
Yep.
Like, people have told me that, like, you're nothing like I thought you were.
Yep.
And it's a pleasant surprise. It's not like a bad surprise.
Right.
You know, and it's always refreshing to me, because I'm like, thank you for noticing, or thank you for even getting to that point in your mind and not shutting down.
That's a good point.
Before that.
Right. Before you know who I actually am.
Exactly. Because 9 times out of 10, that's the reality of it. It's like, as soon as they see you, oh, hoodie? Nah, I'm not talking to that guy.
Right. Yeah.
T-shirt? No, I'm not talking to that guy.
Yeah.
That shirt, those pants, those shoes, I'm not talking. And that's everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's not just one group of people. That's like how everybody
We're programmed
behaves.
to be able to look at people and judge them on their appearance.
All the time.
Yep.
But I'd like to know y'all's experience.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I just had a long conversation with a sister I work with last week on that very topic, and I got to be careful, because there's some issues kind of still going on right now about a certain topic, but it's difficult to call, man. You know what I mean? Because
I agree.
I try not to let my mind go to that point that that's what's going on.
Right.
If I do feel like I'm not getting my point across, I try to think back on, am I not presenting something the right way?
Yeah.
I've been in the area that I'm working now for probably close to like 20 years, and I know, but it's times where I feel like I still have to make sure I get people in my area that don't look like me on board before I can go to a broader group with a certain topic.
Right.
And
You have to do that consciously?
yes,
Wow.
I do it. Whether I have to or not, I do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And not only because getting input from other people helps you kind of round out an argument, but I want to make sure the people that do similar work to me are helping me make sure I'm not like missing something. But with that, and again, for me to be in my area for like 20-something years, is 2 very, very recent examples that stand out that it was difficult for me to try to figure out, is that what was going on or not? Because for one of them, I had to there were people in my group where I was like, hey, I see this problem coming. I see this issue kind of brewing, right? And there's evidence there. There was all kind of data I had to pull in. There was live actual examples of what was going on. And everybody I showed in my area was like, yeah, that's a problem. We got to do something. 10, 15, 20-some people in our area, that's a problem. We got to do something. And I would go to, at the time we had new senior leadership, so like 2 and 3 managers above me, were new to our area. I didn't really know them that well. And when I told them about the problem, they were immediately like, I see the problem. This makes sense. I'm on board with you. Let's do it. Right. So in that instance, people that don't look like us, first time really having any kind of big presentation to them, they understood, got it immediately. We're on board. What do we have to do? When I had to take that same project to the next layer of leadership, kind of expanded out past our group, it took a year and a half for them to actually respond and let us do what we're paid to do. I'm here to protect a certain area, to let you know when your design is going in a certain direction and when we need to do something differently. And it took 1.5 years for that approach to get approved.
Yeah.
And something kind of ancillary, like another kind of offshoot to that same project, is something that was involving my team and plus a few other teams. And that same initial project that I was talking about was kind of representing my space, and there was this African-American lady I work with who was representing this other team. So her and I talked a lot about this problem we were facing. Again, everybody on my side understood it, everybody on her side understood it. We had to go back to that same group to get approval for now the bigger strategy. I had the one that was kind of dealing with the strategy on my side. Her and I had to, and it wasn't just her and I, but we were the most vocal about it. Like, because there's a problem coming, you guys aren't acting to it. Not only are you not reacting to the problem that's coming, you're actively a part of what's contributing to the issue that I'm talking about. You're letting some things go through that I'm telling you are going to be a problem if you don't put some other things in place to protect and to enable what you're trying to do. So I'm trying to tell them, you guys are kind of contributing to this problem. You got to stop, slow it down, let us put these other things in place. She's saying the same thing from her side. As I was doing that 1.5 year pitch to get them convinced that there was something they had to do, her and I were kind of the most vocal ones about this other bigger project we had to do. Months of talking about it, explaining the issues, putting all the data there, all the evidence of all the changes that are coming, the new things that we know the programs are wanting to do and stuff like that. And it was nothing. Just silence almost, right? It's like, I don't believe you, or you got to go back and prove this. Like, if you're approving something, if you as a senior leader are approving something with very little definition because of something that you think is so valuable and that we have to get in, and then I come back in and tell you, hey, this thing that you approved is a problem, well, where's the definition? You approved it with no definition. I'm telling you that you approving it with no definition is leading to me not being able to properly quantify what the problem is going to be.
And you're talking.
I'm telling them that, right?
Not even.
No. So her and I, very vocal about it. And another gentleman we work with, doesn't look like us. His first, maybe second time talking about it, using most of the information he got from us, and it was immediately, oh, this is a problem, we got to do something. Now, I tried to very, in my mind, I was really like, he must have said something differently, maybe presented data differently. But I'm saying, I'm trying not to let myself go to that point, like, maybe there's something else he did, or because of the group, he came from a different group. Right? Maybe it was the representation from that group that was maybe the deciding factor. And I've tried to let this kind of blow over and not let my mind go there for like probably the past 1.5 years this has been going on. And her and I were talking last week, and as she was kind of explaining to me some of the things she was seeing, it's like we were both talking and realized like, no, that's exactly what it is. And I didn't want to have that conversation, honestly.
I know.
Because I didn't want to go there, because I don't have that with everybody. I don't experience it all the time. You know what I mean?
It's unavoidable though. It happens.
It happens. It's like her and I, we were talking about that. It was like it was similar experience. Like, we were talking about the same thing for months to years, and he came in with 1 or 2 presentations with most of our content, and it was like, oh yeah, this is a problem, we got to do something. It's like, okay,
now, here's the question: is that something that you think in this situation, is that something that you feel they did consciously, or it was just that they just look at that, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes prejudice happens on the subconscious level. You know what I'm saying? It can be something like, oh yeah, Gary, we hear you. We'll take a look at it. Not necessarily saying, oh, that's that black guy, we're not going to listen to him. And then somebody else comes along with where they don't have the same prejudice against subconsciously, and they'd be like, oh, you mean to tell me it's a pothole right here? Oh, okay, well, let's get that patched up. You know what I mean?
It's deeper than prejudice. I think it's just programming. Because you can have people that look just like you that won't listen to you. Because it's like you don't represent success or leadership to them, so they're not going to listen to you. You take the same thing you said, and another guy says it, and it's like, oh, we gonna listen to him.
Right.
And it's just like, so it's more programming. We're programmed to think guys that look like us don't know much, or we have a certain like we're all athletes. People will listen to us. Like people will look at, they'll be like, seriously, they look at you and say, "Oh, he must play basketball." So can you give me some advice on how to work out and do this? Because they want to box you in, and once you're in that box, that's what I'm saying. Once you're in a particular box, and unfortunately for us, is the way that we look. We get put in a box. Because the thing is, and this is how deep it is. The programming is so deep. You're educated, and they know that you are. You have the experience, 20 years, and you get in these situations, and it happens more than you think. the lack of productivity in certain situations is because of stuff just like that. Because I've worked in corporate 20 plus years myself. And it's stuff, that's the example that I'm talking about. Where it's like, if I say it, it's like, I don't know, Gary. I mean, we might have to research that. I got in a heated argument with a guy one time because I was like, I said, I'm a movie guy, man. I told him, I said, there was a particular film I was talking about. I said, that was Don Cheadle in that film. He was like, I don't know, man. I think it was Sam Jackson. I said, I said, it was not Sam Jackson, man. It was Don Cheadle. I don't know, Al. Whenever I hear that, I don't know. I'm going to have to research that myself. See, that's the kind of stuff.
Is this before Google was on our phones?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This was a while ago. Yeah. It was just, it's those types of things. And the thing is, like I said, it's programming. It is prejudice too. But when it's your own, it's definitely programming. Because we don't represent in the masses people with knowledge, people with self-control and focus. So they're automatically not going to listen to you in a particular environment. Your own people that look like you will actually seek that approval or that, okay, now it's the truth. It's just like with news. Like if you get a black news channel that reports the same thing that CNN and MSNBC report, people are like, oh, that's not real news. We got to look at this to really get the real news. And that's what I'm saying when I go back to it's all about being seen and heard. Because everybody's talking about like, finding their truth and living in their truth and getting out in front of things. But we can't do that. We always have to be in a particular box. So when people find out that I can draw or I do something particular that the masses don't do that look like me, I'm special. I'm an anomaly now. Now people will listen. But if you just are a regular guy that you're just going about your way, but you're very talented and gifted, they're not going to really look at it unless you actually have to tell them. They have to actually see it. You have to give them a website or something and really prove yourself. Because like with your situation, I mean, I see the stuff that you posted. It's beautiful. It's beautiful work. And it's not overly amazing because it's you. It's actually just beautiful work. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing. But that's the thing we need to even tell each other. It's like, it's not amazing only because it's you doing it. It's amazing because it's actually just good work. In the sea of people, in the sea of people that do this work, you do good work. Because everybody doesn't do good work. There's people that don't look like us that get work before we do, and they don't do as good a job. But they get the job because of what they look like. And then we have to go above and beyond, post our stuff online, and have a celebrity praise us, and then we might get a call, But until that time, especially when you, like you said, you look young, you get put into a couple of different boxes you can't get out of. It's so like, wow, you don't even know me.
It's a real challenge.
We haven't even had a conversation. You don't even know my vocabulary and how well I probably can educate you on some things. And I think that is a massive problem in our society, man. Is people just simply don't listen, and I think with the advantages of technology and all, I have to always blame social media and all these different technologies that are separating us further and further apart. People are listening less and less and less. And then people like us are going to get heard and seen less and less and less unless we fight and make our positions known. Let people know who we are. The things we started. They're trying to erase history. Really. They're trying to reshape it in every way. And so we have to say to ourselves, how am I going to be seen and heard and not ignored? Because while we're here, that's just something that has to happen. Especially if we want to make livings and do things, follow our dreams and everything like that. We have to position ourselves and say we want to be seen and heard. And that's why I love like this podcast. Because this is how you use technology to your advantage. It gives you a voice. It gives you it helps people see what's going on here. I want you to talk.
Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
it's a lot to be said because I'm an introvert. Absolute introvert. Right? So being seen and heard, I don't care. That's flat out. That's me. And I do music and whatnot because I enjoy it, right? But I want people to listen to it, enjoy it too. But I'm a shy guy, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm reluctant to be on doing videos, but since we're here, dude, this is like my boy, this family, you know what I'm saying? This family, this therapy or whatnot. So that's the reason why it's easy for me to have this broadcast with my brothers and my cousin, family and stuff, right? And so when this corporate thing is an issue, we know that, right?
Oh yeah.
I've been in corporate and I've been in plant life.
Yeah.
So I've seen a broad scale of the interactions of all cultures.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but me being an introvert, I think that it forced me to speak and talk to people and show what abilities that I have to people. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because a person that's introverted is going to be heard even less because you don't even, you're reluctant to speak in the first place.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So when I walk in the room, I really don't, I've already have this point that where there's an opportunity, there's a possibility that I won't be heard, right? So it's all good. I'm sitting over here in the corner, right? I'm actually fine with that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, in a way. But there's, like what you said, like, there's come to a point where there's issues that arise that something has to be communicated. And I think a lot of times that what I have done was I prepared the information ahead of time. Right. So when I do speak, that the information is available and I'm pointing it in the right direction, right, to the right people.
And they're like, "Oh my God, you typed all this? Wow, this is impressive, brother."
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. This was me and Fernando actually started from the Fernando's he's like a brother to me. We grew up, man. We known each other forever, right?
Shout out to Fer.
Yes, sir.
Fernando Gonzalez. And so, like, since kindergarten, if he had a job, he called me up. If I had a job, I called him. That's how we always were. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we ended up getting in this one group at the bottom of the barrel, shipping and receiving, right, with a company that actually spearheaded to me where I am today. You know what I'm saying? But we both worked our way up. And what we ended up doing was we were so low, but our work ethic was like top notch, right? We just came there. We were only, so this corporate subject that we're talking about, like being recognized and being heard, that wasn't even on our mind. You know what I'm saying? Because we were so
not on my mind.
we were so young. We were so young
Yeah.
that we didn't even think about that. We was just like, we just want to get paid. I was getting paid $8 an hour. Now I'm making $12. Let's get it. You know what I'm saying? We were right there. So we were all about. We were so focused about paying our rent that we didn't focus on those types of issues. And plus, we were young at the time. Didn't spit on you, man?
No, I don't think it might have been something.
Right. So, okay, let me make this quick. So both of us were challenging each other, keeping our minds stable as we raised up in the company or whatnot. But while we worked together and kept each other intact, it was other people noticing, taking note of us. And they start calling us and recognizing our work ethic. Next thing you know it, Fernando got promoted toward the management side, and I got promoted more to the technical side. Gotten more advancements and different things on the technical side. Fernando more on the management side. So what am I saying about this? I think that the focus, is there an issue there? Yes, but if you put your energy towards that, then I think that you will miss the good that can come out for other people to, how can I say that, man? Growing up, when we were, I guess, climbing the ladder, so to speak, I think other people was taking note of what we were doing, and then they grasp us to be a part of their group or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I'm saying it right and I'm being real clear about it, but
no, that's beautiful. Your hard work and your actions, it precedes you, right?
Yes.
And see, here's the thing about being an introvert, because being an introvert is fine. I mean, that's your personality. That's what it is. But the problem that we run into, because people have assumed I'm an introvert. You know, I'm absolutely not. I don't understand. People want me to be. I'm like, I'm not. But the problem being an introvert is, want me to be. It's like the problem is that, because I don't care, I don't have to be seen or noticed. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I don't need attention. But the problem you run into is people's perception and how they choose to see you, and then how they're going to treat you. That affects your livelihood. You see what I'm saying? They'll look at you and say, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's not that quick. Maybe he's not that smart. And this is like, I am. Let me amaze you. Because the thing is, if they look at you an introvert, then they're going to kind of treat you that way, And the thing is, I'm never distracted by it, but I'm always conscious of it, because the reality is that stuff affects your pockets. It affects your household, how people see you, how they choose to pursue their perceptions of you. And the hardest thing is, man, and I always love Nightcrawler said this in X-Men when he was like, people will never see anything beyond what they see with their own two eyes. They'll never really understand anything beyond what they see with their own two eyes. And that's the tragedy of our existence, is that we've always been relegated to just our skin color. Which even to this day, being here 45 years, I cannot comprehend that. I'm like, of all the things people want to accept all over the globe, all the evils, all the dark things, all the things people embrace, they can't quite grasp people that have a skin tone. And it's like, I don't understand that. But the thing is, it's always imperative for us to fight for our positions and make ourselves known, only because you don't want people spreading lies and treating you a certain way and then magnifying that. Because they'll do it on an individual basis as well as groups. They'll do it on an individual. They'll take and choose you and just look at how you dressed. And it's like, you have no idea. I could literally be a superhero and I may need to save your life one day. And you're going to treat me like this? Because I saw a scenario like that somebody posted online where this guy, the lady she actually posted was a black lady. And she said, I was on my way to work and I got to my parking spot and this guy went in the parking spot and cut me off and then flipped me off and said some, derogatory things. So I went on up to my office and I got prepared for this interview. And then he comes up.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's the situations we're talking about. You know what I mean? It's like people have no idea what they're doing on like a day-to-day basis, man. I've actually diffused situations with people that look different from me, just simply by speaking to them very calmly. Like I'm not gonna act like a gorilla or some kind of violent animal like you would expect. I'm gonna speak very softly and very calm to you because that's really my personality. They want you to be violent. They want because that's what they expect. You know what I'm saying? My father taught me, like, never give them what they want. Just be yourself, and that's what's gonna sell. Right. Because people are always looking to put you in a box because it makes them comfortable, helps them understand some things. If you look like a young cat, it's like, this guy can't possibly tell me anything because he looks young. But then it's like, you don't even know my age. Right. If we'll look young, I'd be 50, 60 year old, looking like this. Right. And, to even put yourself in the mindset that a person that looks on you and can't teach you anything, you cutting yourself off at the knees right there.
I think you hit something on a good point earlier. You talked about people don't take time to listen. Yeah, I think that's number one thing, man. It's like really hear people out, right? Take the time to take note. Number one thing, as you listen, take inventory of yourself. Yeah. Number one thing, you got to be able to ask the question, like to me, like once again, me being who I am, I had to learn to listen. Yeah. Like, because I didn't listen at all. I was a very stubborn person with my being an introvert or whatnot. Okay, It's going back to our personalysis, right? Yeah, right. Do we choose to be that because the data says so, or do we see those weaknesses and say, I need to improve on this? You see what I'm saying? Right. Do I want to settle in what that data says, or do I see that as an opportunity to do better? Yes. And I think that's the whole idea for us, to do better, right? Same. So as me being young and not necessarily focusing on racial things or whatnot, I did come across a few, so I want to put that out there. Yeah, I have. Yeah. Like going down south, I moved down south, and me and my family, we moved down there, and we saw a few things, right? But and I always say this: what am I going to become? Am I going to become what they already perceive me to be? That's a good point. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. And I can't get what you said about your dad. Yeah. And that's what you cannot do. So like me working, I was a quality engineer, working at a plant when I had guys, white, black, or whatever the case may be, that I actually got paid more and my skill was over them or whatnot. When they see me coming, they're thinking like, why should I listen to you? Once again, it's the same thing. That's automatic. Exactly what I'm talking about. But and I agree with you, and which I hate to say that I have to agree to this, is that you do have to work 100% greater in order for someone to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So I had to show myself worthy for my voice to enter into their ears. You know
what
I'm
that
saying?
You're paid to be over.
People that are paid to be over.
That's the wild part.
That's what I'm talking about.
I bring an issue. So
and
like I'm saying, I hate to have that conversation, but it's reality, right?
It gets brought to us. We hate to have to
so,
talk about it, but it's being brought to us. So, you know what I'm saying? It's always presented to you in subtle ways, covert ways, overt ways. It's always brought to you. And it's undeniable. You have to talk about it. But in talking about it, you definitely want to learn from it. Constantly analyze yourself and say, how am I going to react to that? Because I'm not distracted by it at all at this point. I mean, some things are frustrating. Don't get me wrong. I'm a human being. But for the most part, I move to the beat of my own drum in situations like that. And I know how to react. You know, it's not too many buttons I'm going to allow to be pushed in certain situations. I mean, it's very frustrating not being heard or being completely ignored.
Right.
And you can always look at somebody and tell. As soon as you start talking, their eyes start wandering. They're like,
that's true.
Yeah,
that is so true.
Right.
Because I've seen that before.
Because I've had to learn myself to make sure that you look people in their eyes.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you lose them automatically.
Right.
You know, it's very imperative that we look people in their eyes. Don't look down. Don't look away. Don't wander. Do all that stuff. You want to look people and square them up because then they know that you're serious.
Well, I know. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I talk too much. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, go ahead. Because I'll remember what I said.
Okay, so it's funny that you bring that point up about making eye contact when you're talking with somebody, because I have, and this goes back to you saying that the way that you speak to people is usually very gentle and as calmly as possible. I have a sort of natural intensity when I'm talking about, especially something that I'm passionate about, and
Same.
yeah, and so I recognize both by just observation and also from being told that it's a little bit intimidating to hear from, number one, somebody who has a voice in a lower register. Also somebody who is able to speak and present an argument without it seeming violent. You know what I mean? Like I can elevate the volume of my voice and present an idea in a way that may frighten people. And it's weird to think that. You know what I'm saying?
People don't like when you're sure of yourself.
Exactly. And I try to be as much as I can. Of course I try to remain humble, but I have a certain level of confidence that I'm glad that I have, and I work at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that it's important for us to remember that we while we have to be gentle, loving creatures, we also have to exude the confidence that I know when I walk into your house and tell you, listen, you're going to need to tear out all of this drywall before we can replace, whatever. Or when you say, listen, that picture is the back of somebody's head. I'm not going to draw that. You have to give me something that's a face, you know what I'm saying, straight on, whatever, or whatever, in any area of our lives, we have to show that we know what we're talking about.
Right.
And learning the proper way to present that in a confident yet humble manner is key.
I love this.
So then that's the first thing. Then the second thing, you brought up a point earlier about when you and Fern were coming up, and you were saying that at this age that you were, maybe teenager or whatever, there was it didn't register in your mind when you may have come across something that may have ticked the mark for prejudice or racism or whatever. So my question to y'all is, to what degree should we share with our children and a younger generation about that type of awareness? Is it something that we should just say, well, they'll figure it out when they get there? Or is it something that we should say, listen, this is something that you're going to encounter. This is the way that you should carry yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I want you to go.
You have to prepare your kids. And after a few of the more public, police killings and everything over the past few years, and there was a couple people who, like at our company, that were doing videos and they had a lot of meetings after that and kind of start off a lot of initiatives to kind of recognize what's going on and how do you address it. And we have a black VP who was very vocal and public about, I've had to sit down with my very, very young kids and explain to them what they have to do to not get shot by a police officer. And I had to do the same thing, right? I have young boys, And at 8, 9, 10 years old, you know, I was having to explain to them, no, this is why you can't go outside with a cap gun. You can't go outside with a toy gun. You know what I mean? And thinking about the young brothers that have gotten killed from stuff like that, and obviously they're like, why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? And I just have to explain to them, you have to have that talk with them. It's vital for survival, and because I don't want them to get caught unaware and be unprepared. One of my sons is extremely friendly, and I've had to tell him multiple times, we'll just be outside, I'm cutting the grass, and he's just skating on the driveway. And the boy wants to wave and say hi to every single person that walks by. And some of them don't answer back. And he'll be sitting up there, and I can see it. You know, he gets all sad and all. He kind of starts slumping the shoulders and everything. And I had to tell him, you got to stop doing that. You know what I mean? You have a kind heart. You have a loving heart. You're friendly. You want to just be nice to everybody. I love that. Don't change that about you. But you can't just go and show that to everybody, because not everybody's going to reciprocate that. And that's a hard conversation to have with a young kid who just wants to be nice and friendly and say hi to everybody that walks by. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it breaks my heart to even have that conversation with him, but I have to, because if I don't tell him that, he goes around not wondering or not knowing what's wrong with me. How come these people that I'm saying hi to don't speak back to me? You know what I mean? This is on our neighborhood. These people walking back and forth in front of our house every single day. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes he'll wave to them or whatever. Most of them speak. It's not all of them. But there's been a few of them who just don't say nothing. You know what I mean? And I want to go this instinct in me to go chase them down and shake them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But it's like at the same time, I know how I know the lay of the land. You know what I'm saying? So I have to prepare him. I can't not tell him what to expect when he goes out there. I wish that wasn't what he had to expect, but I have to prepare him for what he's going to see. Now, it was worse where I grew up when I was his age. It was far worse where I was back then. You know what I'm saying? But I have to prepare all of my kids and let them know this is a hurdle you're going to have to overcome. And I try to look at it as an opportunity. And this is why I think it's important that we do think that people see black men doing things like this, because there's so many other black men who are putting content out that work in the opposite direction for that narrative,
more
right?
than enough.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, and in that regard, I'm not upset at people. I don't get mad at people for that. Even in the situation that I mentioned with work, right? We went to that guy. We actually went to him and brought him in because that message should have come from his group.
Gotcha.
And the fact that her and I have been saying the same message, a few other people from our group, by the time he got there, he was probably the 10th person telling the same group, right? So I look at things like that too, and that's why I said, for me, I stopped short of that was racism. It should have come from the group he came from. They listened. And by that time, you're starting to get so many people coming and saying the same thing. It could have been any of those things that it was just a matter of the momentum behind the topic that made them finally listen. But even if it's not for me, because again, like I said, my immediate leadership, 2-3 levels up, people don't look like us. First time I told them, I see this as a problem. So I can't say it's just everywhere. I can't say who it is and who it's not. It's difficult to pinpoint sometimes. And I know what you mean, though, because there's a few people I've talked to at work where you kind of walk into a room and you feel like it's going to be on deaf ears. But I try to look at that as an opportunity. Maybe they haven't come across somebody like me that knows what they're talking about or that can break that stereotype for them. And I try to look at that as an opportunity I have to correct their perception. You know what I'm saying? Is it stupid that I have to do that? Is it unfortunate? Yeah, it is. But it's where we are. And when I see others of us that are out there perpetuating that stereotype, I have a hard time not faulting people. I have a hard time rather faulting people. When I see that, okay, I can understand why you have this perception, but let me show you what it really is. Let me show you the flip side of that coin and teach you what we are really like and what we're really about, and not what you see, being kind of broadcast out there for you all the time. So I look at it as an opportunity. A fortunate one, yes, but I take that as an opportunity, and if I can help kind of move the narrative some, then I'll do that.
I love that. I love what both of y'all say. Because it plays to the sentiment of specifically what I'm talking about. Because the work that I do do troubleshooting. All day, just troubleshooting. What I've learned about people is people like to be instructed to a certain degree. They like to want to know how to fix things. So here's the thing, and what both of y'all just said, you kind of have to help people understand how they're going to treat you. Your personality helps fixes things. It helps fix this problem that we're having. Unfortunately, not every time. But and how we speak and how we conduct ourselves and how we move, that fixes the issue. Partially.
It's dropping the bucket. It's progress, right?
Exactly. Because the thing is, and back to what Mike was saying, and I love this because it's very important. You come into a room and you're confident, you have to be confident because especially in the field that you're in, any of the fields that we're in, you have to be confident. That's number one. Because once you exude confidence, not arrogance, but just confidence, they're automatically going to listen to you. A lady told me that the other day. She was like, "I like your confidence already." She told me, and it helped her to automatically listen, and we got her problem resolved very fast.
Awesome.
You see what I'm saying? But that confidence is key. Now, where it becomes problematic is, other brothers that look like us out there putting out content. They're arrogant, nasty, sloppy, just all over the place. That's not confidence. That's actually insecurity.
Right.
What we do is, like you said, you come into a room, you need to tear all this out. This is what you need to do. They're going to listen to you automatically because people have a natural inclination just to want to listen and be instructed when they don't know something and when they want to fix things. We have a problem in our society where it's a big problem. It's a brokenness that needs to be fixed. And how we conduct ourselves, how our fathers and our parents taught us, our grandfathers, and how to conduct ourselves. We fix it by how we move, how we speak, how we act. My father was always careful to tell me, watch how you conduct yourself. People are always watching you. And that's always stuck in my mind. You know, I mean, we can clown and trip out like this. I can do whatever, say whatever I want. But when we get out there in public, in the streets, you can't be just clowning and falling all over the ground laughing and carrying on. So when I walk down the street, I look straight ahead and I keep my head up.
For sure.
You know, I mean, it's people that might want to nod and speak. I speak to my brothers, you know. But no, I'm real talk, man.
But I mean, but I feel that because you know you're gonna get a response.
Exactly.
And that's why I think all of us become
not all the time, but I'll be walking. We'll be in the mall, like with my wife, walking down the street, and she'd be like, "He looked to speak to you." And I was like, I know, but I'm so used to that, to not being spoken to. It's programming.
Yes.
Because it's dudes that don't look like me, that'll look to speak, look to nod. They be cool guys probably. But I'm like this. Like when I'm out, man, I'm like this, man. It's people that be like, hey, and I'm like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, but I'm focused.
Right.
And now if I see, you know, but like, it's like, what up, man?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Unless they like looking me all in my mouth.
Right.
Nice speaking to you. There's some dudes out there, they be looking at you up and down.
Right.
Whoa, tight Atlanta. But it's imperative. Like my wife, she'll be like, he looked to speak to you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And I explained to her one time, I said, I got to fix that because I'm so used to, because I've looked to speak. And man, let me tell you, it's like I'm the invisible man, seriously. And so
I've experienced that.
Exactly. So once you experience that a couple of hundred times in your lifetime, you know, unfortunately, you kind of become callous. You become like, okay, I'm gonna just walk and look straight ahead because I'm walking down the street. And I got people that don't even want to move out of my way. I mean, I've been shoulder checked, and people are like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." But I'm like, you literally walked over to me as if I were supposed to move. There's always a sidewalk battle here, and I'm like, we need to fix this. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not moving. And if you bump into me, there's gonna be immediate fear on your part. And I don't even look back, but I always hear like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, so these are the problems that we run into that people don't even think about, and it's all generational. It goes way back, and it's very deep seated.
For sure.
Because there's a certain group of people that move with a high level of entitlement, and they're going to treat you the way they treat you because they saw their grandfathers treat your grandfather like that. So they're going to treat you like that. Not even think about it. That's why you said it's like, it's deep. They're not even thinking about it at a certain point. But we have to make them think about it. You know, so when you walk into a room, even when you walk into a room, because see, you can exude confidence and you're not really working at that. You're just like,
you have a looming presence. You're tall,
right?
You know what I mean.
Well, the thing is, you're a good person. They already see that. They see that you're not violent. You know, you're not walking around. You know, like I'm the man. I'm this. I'm that. You're not doing all that. Your thing is like, you know, I'm just trying to do my job and go home to my family. And when people see that, they automatically respect it. Like you put together a document or something, you know your stuff, they have to respect that. It's like, oh, this is just a man that's trying to do his job. I'm not gonna bother him. You know what I'm saying? But
most times,
none of this that we're talking about is ever going to be 100% a solution. Right. But it definitely is a start to a different turn of events that we're doing, because we're dealing with a lot of trash, man. Too much going on that's not even real. It's not true. And so what we have to do is show truth through our behaviors, through our actions, and how we conduct ourselves, and that's how we ultimately become seen and heard.
For sure.
So that's my.
There's a lot to be said with all this. Like I said, I've experienced quite a bit with a lot of traveling. I've been a lot of places, right?
Yeah.
So, and it may be like you said, being 6'5" and, you know, like you said, the deep voice, the tone of your voice, it does make some differences or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I thought about was the exploring, right? Like being able to travel. Like, are we traveling enough to other places to witness the
exposure?
Yeah.
Exposure is beautiful.
Yeah.
And are we, because I'm going to tell you, I saw a phenomenon when I first moved down south.
Mm-hmm.
When I walk down the street or walk to the malls, white people actually said hi to me.
Mm-hmm.
The people, like brothers and sisters, black folks that I went and said hi, they looked down and walked away.
Isn't that weird?
It was phenomenon. I was like,
it's like, what am I? Get out? This is a movie.
This was amazing to me, man.
Zone.
Yeah,
this was amazing to me, man.
Yeah.
Like, this was in Anderson, South Carolina. Like, you know, and listen, if somebody on here listening, if I'm wrong, correct me, okay? But this is what I experienced. You see what I'm saying?
It happened, yeah.
Walking in malls and places, man. There was a dude with a Confederate flag and hat.
Mm-hmm.
He came to me the first time. Like, here, this is my first time coming down here from Michigan. My thought about Confederate flags and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm like,
about
man, he about to say something.
Right.
The brother was so nice, man. He just came up to me and was like, man, this is real nice, man. You like this, man? Hey, how's your day today and everything? You know what I mean? I didn't know what to do. Even to this day, I still don't know.
I would have been leery. Yeah,
I was leery about it. Yeah. But then when I started dealing with more folks, not all of them with Confederate flags are nice, right? Some people are doing it because they
Nazi flag.
Exactly. And I know that.
Yeah.
But some of them, they do it because they love the culture. They love the South. You know what I'm saying? I get that. There's like a split there, but you have to be careful on who you approaching with that, or who approaches you with that. You know what I'm saying? So there's a half and half there. But to go to your point, is about the exploration. We as black people need to explore more. Yeah. We need to go. We need to travel more, and we need to show ourselves that we are a human being in that regard. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? That we have intelligence and we have that. And I think a lot of times we are in our comfort zone. It's easy to stay in Detroit 313. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And then it's easy to look at what other people are doing and assuming, that oh, they're gonna see me, and then you prejudge before actually going over there to be, not only to be a witness to them, but they can be a witness of who you are. And I think that's one of the things that I challenge myself to go down south so I can spread my wings to understand culture. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I went to Turkey. They looked at me like I was crazy in Turkey. Yeah. But it's the experience in culture. China, I went to China. It's the experience. They saw me. I was tall. They was like, picture.
That's cool, man. They thought you was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, man.
That's cool, though.
So, and so that's kind of like what with this subject. And I like this subject because it's something that we have to extract. We have to stretch our mind on thinking. You know what I mean? You have to stretch our mind. Yeah. And you have to really consider. Like I always say, in the process, when someone treats me a certain way, am I going to stoop to their level and think that way, or am I going to be better than that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Not better than them, but better than the moment that I really...
Better than your base instinct.
I would say better than them.
So,
that's a good point.
But better than the... So when you receive that information in your mind, right? And you said, man, I'm not even going to look beyond that, right? I'm going to look beyond that. But you realize that you talk to the other sister in the same, in another department and say, hey, this might be the situation. Once that reality hit that it could be the case and it is reality, what are you becoming at that point? And that's the whole idea. I got to think greater than that so I won't be at a level that they are. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's the whole point of getting better. And then when the opportunity comes, when they do come to me and talk, that I've already conquered that low state of mind. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm able to deal with you now. Yeah. Let's talk. Yeah. One of the weird way of looking at it.
Yeah, one of the important ways that we grow and maintain our own self-imposed standards, I guess, is by understanding that we have zero control over things that stimulate us, whether it's bad, good, whatever. We have no control over the things that we encounter.
Interesting.
The thing that we have control over, there's a book, it's called it's really popular. It's the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And there was a lot of things in the book where I was just kind of glossed over, but one thing that really stood out to me was the way that he framed out a person's, what he calls a circle of influence. I'm not sure if y'all have read that book, but there's what he calls a circle of influence, and this is things that are within this circle. These are the things that I can control. And the key one among them is my response to any other sort of stimulus. That's what I can control. So like you said, you have a situation where you experience some sort of racial prejudice, or, you know, just even getting cut off in traffic, any kind of thing, any kind of stimulus that comes to us. Our control, the thing that I can control is whether or not I lay on the horn and give an obscene gesture, or whether or not I just, you know, tap the brake and slow down and continue with my day, realizing that at the end of the day, that's not going to affect me. I'm still going to be able to get to work. I'm still going to be able to get home safely and see my family. You know what I'm saying? Understanding that life goes on beyond this moment. And it's the same thing with experiencing racism. Now, there's a lot of things. I was talking to somebody about an experience that I had at when we played airsoft the last time. I won't recount the entire story here, but the key point is the way that I responded was the response of the guy that I want to be. Right? It's not me responding as a person who just acts on whatever their knee-jerk reaction, because my knee-jerk reaction might be violence, like we talked about with the Will Smith thing. If that's your knee-jerk reaction, before you have a chance to think, you know, you want to slap somebody or punch somebody or fight or whatever. But if we take an extra second or an extra moment to realize, okay, but is that the guy that I want to be? Do I want to be the person that responds with violence to a nonviolent act? No, I don't want to be that guy. Violence begets violence. We've seen that all throughout the history of mankind. But something that somebody says, that's not something that's, you know, I don't. So my response, what I'm getting to is my response has to be the response of the guy that I want to be. Regardless of whoever else is doing what. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I want to be a person that exudes the love and light of the God that I serve. And outside of everything else, that has to be front of mind, right? The second thing I'm thinking of is going back to what you were saying about, what you were saying about not wanting to instantly jump to the conclusion that this is a racist thing that I'm experiencing. I think it's important for us to maintain a balance, because we can either completely ignore it and be oblivious to the fact that we're black men living in a world that hates us. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. We can either be completely oblivious to it, or we can be on the other side of the spectrum, which is somebody that is, you know, the Dr. Umars of the world, where everything is racism. You know what I mean? Everything is racially biased or charged. I think it's important for a person of maturity to stay in the middle there.
Absolutely.
I want to be aware of what's happening around me. I like information. I like to know what's happening so that I can respond accordingly. But I also don't want to be somebody who is ready to be set off at any moment by any sort of, you know what I'm saying, occurrence. I think that's super important, and that's going back to what we were talking about, training our children. It's important to teach them that balance. I want anybody who I have influence with to be aware of what's happening, but I also don't want you to be an animal. You know what I'm saying?